Hey guys, it's Denise and Jasper. Welcome to my channel where I discuss all aspects of manifestation and law of assumption so that you can level up your life and manifest your dreams. If that's something that you're vibing with, please go ahead and click subscribe and check out my other videos. Also, there's always a link in the description box below directly to my website if you would like to book one-on-one coaching with me. Now, today I'm going to discuss manifesting a specific person. And the first thing I want to reinforce and reaffirm for you is that yes, you absolutely can manifest a specific person. In fact, you already did. So, everything in your reality, every situation, circumstance, every person that you've ever encountered, every person that you have ever been aware of is and was your manifestation. So you've already manifested your specific person. You have awareness of them, you have a story about them, you either have met them or you know they exist and you have a concept of them in your mind. Maybe it's a famous specific person, a musician, an artist. Maybe it's someone you actually have history with. It doesn't matter. To whatever capacity they are in your life was and is your manifestation. So all of your reality is your state of consciousness being pushed out. It's the materialization of your state of consciousness. Another way to put that is it's the expression of who you believe yourself to be in relation to the outside world, which isn't really an outside world. It's a perception, it's an illusion. But, when you conceptualize and think about who am I in relation to relationship? Who am I in relation to finances, wealth, health? The things that we perceive as the outside world, circumstances, situations, desires, all of that. Your concept of yourself, where you're residing in consciousness, is what's materializing that. You're expressing through materialization or through a 3D reality who you believe yourself to be. Period. So you already have manifested your specific person. Keep reminding yourself of that as you question this journey and wonder about if you can do it or if you should do it or why you're doing it. Like, you already did. And also, if you are finding that you maybe think you shouldn't be manifesting them because of how they've hurt you, or people will say you shouldn't want somebody that doesn't want you. Why do you even want a person that has rejected you in the past? Like, all of that, the relationship or the dynamic that you've experienced with this person up to this point was also your doing. You manifested that. So if you were rejected, if you were treated poorly, like any of those things, again, it's your state of consciousness being outpictured, being pushed out. It's the result of your assumptions, thoughts, and beliefs. So you can overcome that within yourself, and you don't ever have to feel like an outside person decided you're not enough or didn't want to be with you, and so you have to not want them anymore and move on. Now, you can do that if that's what you want, but I'm assuming you're watching this video because you want to manifest a specific person. So, I definitely struggled with that because I manifested a repetitive pattern with a specific person where that person I kept manifesting them in and manifesting them out. And so I went through a period where I was sort of shooting myself and shaming myself and like making myself feel bad. And then I was manifesting people to reinforce that. Oh, well, you better not take him back this time. And all those stories and, all those perspectives of my self concept. And I really just had to start embracing and deciding, well, if I want this person, I want this person, period. And the dynamic that I've manifested between myself and this person is mine. I've created that. So there's no room really Like, if it's something that you want, there's no room to guilt or should or shame yourself about it. Just decide, like, do I want it or not? And if so, I can have it. And that's, the other part of this that's really important for you to continue to remember is that if you can conceptualize wanting it, that means it's available for you to experience. You 100% can have it. And so when you're manifesting your specific person, what you want to really focus on is, to what capacity do you want them in your life? How do you want them to feel about you? How do you want to feel when you're around them? How do you want them to feel when they're around you? Those are the things you want to start focusing your attention on. Not what has happened in the past. How did I feel with them? How did I make them feel? What did they say to me? Like, that's all stuff you want to let go of, you want to drop and start embracing this other ideal and this desire of what you really want. And you can't be double-minded. You can't serve two masters. So you can't simultaneously look at your specific person as someone that's going to hurt you or wants to hurt you or is bad for you or that you can't trust, while deciding you want to manifest them into your life for a healthy, loving relationship, right? You can't do that. That's where you get hot and cold. That's where you get in and out. That's where you get the relationship, but it actually sucks and we treat each other like shit. Like, that's where all that takes place. So you have to choose what you want. Do you want to be mad at this person? Do you want to feel like a victim in relation to this person, like they are out to get you or can hurt you or you can't trust them? Or do you want a healthy, loving, committed relationship with this person? And make that choice. And it might be a choice that you have to keep making moment to moment, which brings me into the next point that's really important, is that in all of existence, all that there is the now moment. So all that ever matters is the now moment. And most importantly about the now moment, it's, what are you thinking? What are you in the present now moment imagining? Not what are you experiencing, not what are you seeing. It's, what are you feeling and thinking about what you're seeing and about what you're experiencing? Because that's how we exist in this realm even anyway. Like, we aren't actually in a 3D experience. Like, we're in our imagination in a 3D experience. So in other words, even everything that's physically happening, or if you're physically in a conversation with somebody, what you're really being in the present moment is what's happening in here, right? So every word that they're saying, you're imagining something of that. You're making it mean something. You're concluding something based off of what you're experiencing. So you're always living in your imagination. You're always living in your assumptions, in your beliefs, in your thoughts, and you're always manifesting from that. So it doesn't matter if you have spiraled for 3 hours, or if, you just watched your person pack up and leave, move out, or if they just texted you and said, this is over, I don't want to do it anymore. If you had a huge fight and you screamed at each other and they said they don't want anything to do with you, none of that is relevant to your now moment, unless in your now moment you're going there in imagination, unless you're thinking about it, dwelling on it, trying to dissect why it happened, going over the things you wish you had said or wish you had done, or any of that. Like, all of that is you choosing the concept of yourself that's a victim, that's hurt, and that's not getting what you want in love or in this relationship with this person. And it's just going to keep you there, right? So when those things happen, it's really important that when you become aware of what you're doing or have done or have been doing, that you just drop it then. Like, as soon as you have the awareness of oh God, I've been spiraling, or I've been thinking negative thoughts, or I've been mother effing them in my head for the past 20 minutes. As soon as you become aware of that, you just stop. You just drop it. You don't then beat yourself up for it or shame yourself or guilt yourself or, oh, now I've messed up everything and now I've just added more time onto this. Like, because really, the only thing that matters is what are you thinking in the present moment? And if you can harness all your effort and attention on in the present moment, am I imagining and thinking and dwelling in things that serve me or not? Like, that's it. That's all you need to do. And if I'm not, how can I better? If I'm not imagining and dwelling and thinking in things that assist and support what I desire, what can I reach for? How can I do that right now in this moment? And sometimes what that looks like is just what will it be like when? Or what would it be like if? And sometimes it's revising, right? Like we have all these tools and modalities of thinking. You know, we can imagine conversations, we can imagine scenes, visualizing things, we can affirm something, we can just sort of dissect and like conclude based off of an actual scenario that happened or an imaginal scenario. Like there's so many different ways that we use our consciousness, and all these tools and techniques and things aren't really, there's not a formula to them. It's just about in this present moment, where am I dwelling? And in this present moment, what can I practice that will support the concept of me that I want to become, that I want to choose right now? That's really what it is. It's about you becoming aware of where are you dwelling? Where are you in imagination? And is it where you want to be? And if not, practice that. And so, like I was saying, when you're manifesting a specific person, especially if there's a history with this person, sometimes that's going to be revision, right? If old memories, old arguments, painful things, whether you did them or they were done to you, if they keep interrupting you, if you keep becoming consciously aware of them and putting attention on them and thinking about them, you need to revise them. And that's going to clear up so much stuff. And you may need to revise stuff from past relationships. You may need to revise stuff from childhood. You know, when I went on this journey, well, when I was in it, not when I went on it, but when shit hit the fan for me, prior to shit hitting the fan, I had been manifesting a pattern with my specific person. Manifest him in, manifest him out. Manifest him in, manifest him out. Because I was manifesting the person, right? So I was focused on getting this person to come back, getting the relationship, getting this person to show up a certain way. But I wasn't fully changing my conception of myself as it pertained to relationships. So I would manifest them in, because you can do that. You can absolutely, through thought and determination, manifest anything into your life. But if you want to actually enjoy it and be in it and be able to surrender to it and just live in that manifestation and have it stick around, you will need to change any conception of yourself that goes against that manifestation. And so I had a conception of myself that I was never chosen and that somebody better was always going to get the attention of my person. So lo and behold, that's what I manifested every single time. Okay? So when shit finally hit the fan and I realized this is a pattern that I keep doing, because I had never really been chosen, I didn't know what I was even grasping for. I had been affirming for, almost years that I'm chosen, I'm chosen, I'm chosen. But I didn't really know what that meant, and I didn't really know what it felt like, and I had no experiences to reach into that confirmed that and gave me that sense of, oh yeah, this is what it is. This is what it's like. Hi, Jasper. So, um, you're such a love. So, one of the first things I started conceptualizing and sort of reaching for and playing around with was, what would it be like if I always knew I was enough? Because I knew that my manifestations of not being chosen came from an underlying belief that I wasn't worthy of being chosen. I wasn't enough to be chosen. There was somebody better that would be chosen. So I remember I got out a sheet of paper in my notebook and I just wrote at the top of the page, and I think I was sobbing in tears. What would it be like if I always knew I was enough? I'm pretty sure that was the exact sentence. And I started writing, and it just sort of came through me, all of these memories. Like, I basically revised them on paper without intentionally trying to revise them. Because what happened was, when I asked that question, I started to recall all the painful memories of the times I wasn't chosen, the times I manifested to be not the one. And so, as I'm writing them, though, I started to write from the perspective of, well, what would it have been like if I was, right? So here I was going back to like my first crush in second grade and writing, he would have liked me back or crushed on me back or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly now, but and then from there it just went into the next memory and the next one and the next one, and I went through like, adolescence, young adult, and up to present day basically, and all the scenarios and situations that had shown me or supported the concept of me not being chosen, I was writing them as if I was. And then I just reflected on that and I was like, oh, you need to revise this. Like, you need to revise all these memories. So I took the next several weeks basically and I started going through and revising memories. And as I started doing that, new ones were popping up. Like, I mean, it was kind of like I was really cleaning house. Like, I was getting through the layers. And, it started with the relationship aspect, and then just other memories of like early childhood stuff started coming to surface for me to clean out and revise. And once I did that, that's when everything shifted. That's when I was actually able to conceptualize a healthy, loving relationship with my person, because I had let go of all the stuff that proved otherwise. I had released myself from that concept of me and them and relationship, and I was now able to embrace and embody a different concept. And that's what you're doing through this whole process. So while you might want to, bless you, while you might want to really focus on having a, bless you, great mental diet and being diligent with affirmations and doing your visualizations every night and coming up with methods and techniques and a plan, that's a great way to look at it. But also, you want to you've got to understand you're walking through this old concept of yourself to get to another one. And yes, it's about dropping a concept and embracing a new one. But if you aren't practicing awareness and being honest with yourself about how you've been thinking, where you've been dwelling, what you are holding on to, and actually revising that for yourself so that you can let go of it, it will probably just keep rearing its ugly head. It will probably just keep showing up and interrupting where you want to go, right? And that's not the case for everybody, but if you've seen patterns that are similar in your relationships, if you see a pattern in how you think, if you're always going to a victim state, or you're always questioning your person's integrity, or always looking for who might be better than you, then yeah, you probably have some memories and situations that you need to revise. And that can be incredibly powerful. I overlooked revision for a long time. I would dabble in it, I would practice it a little bit here and there, but when I got serious about it was when I shifted into a new state of myself, like completely, a new state of consciousness. When I really decided, like, this shit keeps showing up. Like, I need to let this go. Like, really move through it so that I can be on the other end of it. And so, yeah, like start with that. And again, it's not a linear process, but pay attention. And if these memories keep showing up, then revise them, let them go, change them. So then you want to start focusing on what you really want and understanding that what you really want requires you to be a certain concept of yourself, right? I really wanted a secure, stable, freeing relationship. And what I mean by freeing is one that I didn't think I needed to micromanage and pay attention to and, look out for how I was going to get hurt, because that's what the old me had done. I had always been on guard and looking for how I was going to be hurt. Who is my person going to want? Who is a threat? What are they going to lie to me about? What are they going to deceive me about? How are they going to betray me and hurt me? And like really being honest with myself and understanding that if I want a secure, loving, healthy relationship, I can't be that person anymore, because those things are not cohesive. They cannot exist. That is the very blatant description of being double minded, of serving two masters. It's deciding, I want a healthy, loving relationship, but my person's going to hurt me. Nope, shit doesn't match up. It's not going to work. So I had to further instill within myself. I've done the revision. I've let go of a lot of the things that I was holding on to that reinforced this concept of me being a victim and me being threatened and getting hurt. But I also like had to now really embody and embrace that I fully trust my partner. I fully trust myself in relationship. I fully trust and believe that I am enough, and right, like becoming that version. And so affirming and scripting and visualizing and practicing inner conversations, all the techniques can play a role for you. And again, all the techniques aren't the actual answer. They're just a practice for you to get to the answer. Because the answer ultimately is you embodying and becoming someone who thinks and feels differently. And when we're talking about thinking, there's two ways we think. And this is going to help your manifestation practice a lot. There's there's two ways I want to describe thinking or define thinking. And I'm not Merriam-Webster here, so pardon me, it's not the dictionary definition. But we can we can think something like, I guess it's a verb. We can use the word think and think something as an action, right? Like I can think a thought. I can make myself think a thought. I can think I am chosen. I can think it. I'm chosen. There, I just did it. Now I can also think something, like I can assume it to be true. I can believe it as real. I can embody it as a fact, right? And so when you're affirming and you're scripting and you're visualizing and you're inner conversating and you're doing all these things, they're not to change just the surface or the action of what you think. They're to really change what you think, what you assume, what you believe. So it's not just, oh, let me get through this and check off these things and do these techniques and make sure I've met my quota. It's how can I really practice and embody and become the one who believes these things to be true, the one who has become the thinker of these thoughts, right? Like, so that's a huge takeaway. That's something that I learned early on because, well, maybe not early on, but I was, I was such an overthinker and a heavy thinker and a worst case scenario thinker because I wanted to protect myself, right? So my mind was always like, oh, what about this? And what if that? And you better look out for that. And you better check on that. And what about this? And I mean, it was bad. I had a lot of negative thoughts. But So early on, when I got serious about my mental diet, what I was doing was I was basically affirming anytime I wasn't engaged in conversation with somebody. So I was basically robotically affirming, but this was like 2019. I don't know that anyone was saying robotically affirming then. I have no idea. But um, I was like constantly doing these affirmations, but I wasn't really like becoming the thinker of these thoughts. I wasn't giving myself time and space to contemplate it and ponder it and say, what would it be like if I thought I was chosen? What would it be like if I knew I was chosen? What would it be like if I knew I was enough? What would be different? How would I feel? How would I think? What would I experience? What would I see? What would I hear? How would I perceive things? What conclusions would I make out of my manifested reality if I always knew I was enough? And what would I not think? What would I not feel, right? It's like really becoming aware and understanding that you're learning to become a different person. You're learning to expand your state of consciousness into one that you have not yet been familiar with. And so doing that isn't just, you know, checking off the to-do list of how to manifest your specific person. It's really about how to become the one who knows they can have it all, the one who knows they're worth more than this world can even offer, the one who knows they're always enough to be chosen, the one who knows they are on a pedestal, the one who knows, you see where I'm headed with this. I mean, that's what you're learning to do. So once you get through the revision part of it, or while you're doing the revision part of it, I want you to also really start contemplating. Because contemplation is so much more powerful than affirmation. I mean, honestly, like you can think a thought over and over and over again and still not connect with it enough to start being someone who thinks that thought, someone who assumes that is truth, you know? And if you're making your objective be to think something a certain amount of times, you will likely just start to experience or increase an already existing anxiety. You will be perpetuating a fear of your thoughts. You will be doing a lot of things that don't serve you. And I'm saying this and I know this from experience because I started, like I said, I got serious about a mental diet from that perspective in 2019. Maybe it was before that. No, it was 2019. And when that happened, over the course of the next couple of years or about year and a half, I manifested myself into severe anxiety where I was having panic attacks and it was bad for about 4 to 6 months. My life was not cohesive. Like I was not in a good space. I was not comfortable. I was functioning. I was working. I was coaching. I was doing everything I needed to be doing. But in here, the story that was running was constant fear, constant fear. I was so overwhelmed with this fear that it was just really bad. I was losing sleep. I was doing way too much to try to stop it and push it down instead of just moving through it, right? And so that's something that in the manifesting community, I think is often kind of pushed as like, don't think about it, don't react, flip the thought, tell a different story. And while, yes, all of that is true, ultimately, that's where you're learning to go. The way to get there isn't suppression and it's not resistance, because that's just going to make all of that stuff bigger, right? The way to get there is, oh shit, I've been thinking all these thoughts from this version of me that thinks they're not enough. I've been contemplating and or translating my 3D reality from this perspective that I'm going to be hurt and that I need to protect myself, right? Like it's really looking at what you have been in awareness how you have been thinking and how you have been operating, and shining a light on it, putting it on paper, noticing it, pointing it out to yourself. Oh, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. And then gracefully and gently bringing yourself into doing it differently. Not trying to hammer it in, not trying to bang it into shape. Like, that will likely create more resistance and anxiety within you and get you further from your goal, at least for a period of time, right? Until, like with me, shit just hit the fan and I was like, oh, this isn't working. Like, that method of, repeating a thought and repeating an affirmation and flipping, it has a time and place. But when it's like deep shit that you've been living, manifesting, and then reinforcing for decades or years, you gotta pull the blankets off of it. You can't just push it down and cover it up. You've got to like expose it and look at it. Oh, this is what I've been doing. Oh my goodness. And there's another way of doing it. And so, that's what you want to practice when you're manifesting your specific person. Yes, your mental diet is important. Yes, the tools and techniques are helpful, but knowing that a mental diet isn't about being afraid of all the thoughts and needing to eliminate every negative thought you have and having to flip them. And it's about learning to like see a negative thought and go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to put my attention on this instead. I'm going to think this instead. Not like, oh shit, I got to think this instead. Think it, think it, think it, think it, think it. What is, the feeling behind that already? You're manifesting from a state of, oh shit, oh god, repair, 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 which is just reaffirming that something is broken, right? So that's what I really want you guys to understand. I'm also going to do more videos on like mental diet and states of consciousness and all of that stuff, but when you're manifesting your specific person, you really want to practice taking accountability for the dynamic that you've manifested with that person, taking accountability for the relationship that you have up until this point experienced and materialized with that person. And then in that accountability, you know that you can shift it. You can create something different from it. You can turn it into anything that you want. Just, you have to be persistent with what you want. And you want to stay on track with that as best you can. And you want to keep nurturing and conceptualizing and contemplating and pondering this beautiful, healthy, loving relationship where you feel secure and chosen. And you know that you're just enough the way you are and that everything is perfect. And there's so much harmony and love between you two, right? So get clear on where you've been manifesting from. Who have you been being in relation to this person? Who do you want to be instead in relation to this person? And in each now moment, what can you best do? What tools can you use? What application can you use to become that version? To think that way? To start believing these truths? To start embracing and embodying these other concepts and these other thoughts and these other ideas and these other outcomes, right? So that's what it's all about. It's about letting go of the old and embracing something new. And letting go of the old, detaching from it, is not the same as resisting it or suppressing it or avoiding it. Resistance, suppression, avoidance, it's just going to make the old bigger. It's going to keep showing up and it's going to get louder and louder and louder until shit hits the fan and you go, all right, this isn't working. Back to the drawing board. Let's try this in a more graceful, transparent way. And that's what I want to reiterate with you guys, is that it's not about force. It's about becoming someone new, not forcing yourself to be someone new. It's accepting that you can think this way, accepting that this can be true for you, accepting that your person can feel and think these ways about you, because the ways that they previously felt and thought about you were your assumptions anyway, being pushed out. It was your belief that they felt that way. They don't feel any way. They're a materialization of your intentions, your assumptions, your thoughts, your concept of you. That's it. So you can have it any way you want it. You can have your person show up exactly how you want. But what it will require is for you to detach from and let go of how they previously showed up, and the the concept of you that manifested them to show up that way, and practice becoming and embracing the concept of you that manifests them showing up in the most loving and adoring way that you want, that you can imagine. Okay? So letting go of the past, revising it, dropping it, whatever tool you need to do that, and whatever that looks like for you, is the most important part. You can't move forward in a healthy relationship if you're holding on to any concept of you or your person that isn't healthy and loving. Period. So that's your main goal here, is to learn to do that. Okay? And yeah, being aware of your mental diet, where are you residing throughout your day? That's important. Not panicking about your negative thoughts. That doesn't serve you. That's not how you do a mental diet. That doesn't help. It just creates more panic and worry and frustration. Okay? So you can manifest your specific person because you already did. And you can manifest a different dynamic with your specific person because the current dynamic you manifested anyway. And you have in each now moment the ability and availability of any concept of yourself and all the people in your reality. It's available to you in each now moment, always, consistently, at all times, fully available. You just are learning to be the one that puts your attention on that concept of you and of them and of relationship. All right? So if you want help manifesting your specific person, if you want support on your journey, if you have questions, feel free to comment below. But also, there's a link in the description box where you can sign up with me for one-on-one coaching. And like I said, I've done it myself and I've helped hundreds, if not thousands. I don't know, I didn't count them all, but so many people manifest change within themselves, with their specific persons, in their relationships. And I can help you do that too if you feel like you want that support. Now, you don't need it. If you do, you do. If you say you do, you do. If you want it, you can have it. But ultimately, it's you learning to become the version of you that knows you can have anything that you persist in imagination. And persisting in imagination doesn't have to be riddled with anxiety and fear and frustration. And that's my main intention here, is to support you in a way that you gracefully evolve or expand into this conception of yourself without going through some of the negative aspects that I went through. All right? Okay, so I will be doing more videos on this topic, I'm sure, in the future, because I plan on just, I'm going to talk about this stuff all the time. So there will be more specific person videos and videos on all the other things that are related to manifestation and law of assumption. In the meantime, check out the videos that I've already published and subscribe so that you can check out the ones that I create in the future. All right, I'll see you guys next time.